Welcome very much to this fourth and last webinar of the project StoryRegion, an Erasmus Plus project dealing with storytelling for community building and inclusion, directed to mostly adult education. My name is Anders Karlsson and I'm the project coordinator of this project, and I am in Sweden, in the region of Västerbotten in the northern part of Sweden, where we today have a terrible weather. I would like to look at what we're going to talk about today. First of all, just a short repetition of what the goals of the StoryRegions project are, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the activities within the StoryRegion, what we have done. And after that, we would like to present some of the outcomes, what have we done in our different regions, in Belgium, in Germany, in Poland, Italy, and Sweden. And all this is also presented in a manual that we will present shortly. And finally, but perhaps most important, we are going to talk about the future, what will happen next. So that is what Next Steps is all about. Okay, let's look at the project goals of this project. StoryRegion is about to promote storytelling as a learning tool in different fields of formal and non-formal adult education and in social cultural life. It's also about to improve the professional capacity of teachers, adult trainers, community workers, and cultural professionals in using stories and storytelling with their target groups. And finally, the project goal is also to establish a regional approach to promoting and enhancing intersectorial cooperation on applied storytelling for learning and for social cohesion. So, perhaps we can look a little bit about what we have done in the project, what activities we have done.
Yes, welcome also from my side. I'm Julia Busche and I'm working for the German partner in the StoryRegions project. The company is called Q21. We're located in Göttingen. The activities that we have carried out within the project or that we started with at the very beginning was to have a look at who's actually involved in storytelling, who are actors that we can address and include in our project activities. And each of us did a so-called actors map, listing all the institutions and all the stakeholders in our region that can be involved. This was part of a needs analysis where we had a number of interviews, not only with storytellers, so let's say experts for storytelling and learning, but also with representatives of education institutions and other institutions that can make use of storytelling. In addition, we also carried out an online survey that helped us to define the program for the next steps. Another activity within StoryRegions was to develop a competence profile for a so-called storytelling curator. This term is probably not very familiar. A storytelling curator is somebody whose job it is to promote storytelling activities, to support stakeholders in using storytelling in their work, to organize events, to keep networks alive, and to further develop storytelling expertise in a region, in an institution, and so on. We also focused on developing methodologies that are based on storytelling techniques and that are suitable to foster intersectorial cooperation. So this means one very strong focus we had was to really connect people from different organizations to build bridges between organizations. And we collected a number of good practices and methods that are suitable for this. But the good practice collection not only focused on the method, it had the aim to show us also the opportunities and the possibilities that are connected to using storytelling to improve collaboration and also to foster inclusion and social cohesion. After we did all this research and some kind of internal competence building within the partnership and all these interviews, we organized pilot projects. Each partner country carried out 2 pilot projects which had the aim to apply storytelling methodologies and to introduce storytelling in our regions in distinct activities in different fields. And you will learn more about this later, and also this was topic of our last webinar. In addition, we also organized national dissemination and training days. This was another measure to make our activities more known and to spread knowledge about storytelling and its potential for cooperation and learning. And in the end, everything was wrapped up in our manual, where we created guidelines how storytelling methods can be applied in different fields of education and social inclusion. So here you see our manual.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia. So indeed, this is the cover of the manual that we have presented. And if we, again, back to the cover. Here we have a bit of an impression of what the content of the manual is. And in the manual, we have several chapters, of course, and the first chapter deals with background information and a general introduction to the potential of storytelling in community work, meaning that we talk about the power of storytelling and how we can use storytelling in different sectors, in the social sector, in the cultural sector, in heritage sector, etc. It deals with background information, but also, of course, with some methodological elements. Another thing we do, Julia already talked about the storytelling curator, a kind of regional coordinator to promote and enhance the use of storytelling in a region. And there we described a competence profile. So what competences should such a person have, and what is the job? So a kind of job description of that person. Then in the following chapter, we talked about a methodology on how to use storytelling techniques in social cultural settings. It's not only about how to use storytelling techniques, but also how to bring these organizations together. We realized also when we talked about the job of curator, that it is not only about how to use storytelling with individuals or in groups, but also how do you approach a kind of regional cooperation. It's also about networking, about knowing the organization, about knowing who is dealing with storytelling and what jobs or functions. And now I'm looking at people working in the immigration services or in adult education or in cultural context. Is there a possibility for these people to use storytelling? Can storytelling play a role for their job and for the tasks they have to do? And that's also part of the methodology chapter. And then indeed we collected a number of good practices in Europe. And of course, we have listed the good practices. There are about, I think, 17 to 18 good practices that are described in a more extended form, let's say 1 or 2 pages per good practice. But we also have a long list of 101. We didn't reach the 1001, that was a bit much. But the 101 examples that we collected in Europe, and they are described in 10 lines per example. So also that is available in the manual. Each of us, we have done 2 pilot projects, and you will find the reports of these pilots in the manual as well. And that, as a whole, is the manual. The manual is translated in, of course, it's created in English because that was the common working language of this project, but it is translated in all partner languages, and it's available on the website. You can download it in PDF. or you can read it online in issue.com.
Okay, thank you very much, Guy. If we look a little bit upon what impact this project has had in our different countries, I would like to start to talk a little bit about what we have achieved here in Sweden and in Västerbotten. In Västerbotten, we have been working quite a lot with storytelling within the last 10-15 years. And we call ourselves the region of storytelling. But to be frank and honest, this region of storytelling has mostly have been about in the cultural sector. The theater, professional storytellers, etc., has improved their storytelling skills, and we also have a storytelling curator in our museum, our cultural heritage regional museum. And also libraries, etc., has been working quite a lot with storytelling. But thanks to this project, Story Regions, we have started to work with storytelling outside the cultural sphere into different parts of society, and that has been very good for us. Another thing is that thanks to one of the pilots that we did, it was directed towards immigrants who is in adult education is going to learn Swedish. We started to use storytelling as a sort of technique to achieve learning better. And thanks to this project, this storytelling moment is now in the curriculum for learning in one of our municipalities called Skellefteå. Skellefteå also hosts this yearly storytelling festival. So I'm very glad that this is not only in the project, it's also something that is going to continue in the future. And the third thing that I would like to emphasize is that one of the goals was, as Guy mentioned, and one of the activities when it comes to the method, not only about storytelling techniques, but how can we match different people, different groups of people in society, thanks to storytelling for fruitful cooperations. And I think we have been started at least to do this thanks to Story Regions. Now, for instance, in the Swedish for Immigrants pilot that we mentioned, the students, they have been making visits to libraries, to archives, and they are getting involved in society in different ways. So I'm very glad for that as well. And the last thing I would like to add is that thanks to the Erasmus Plus project, Story Regions, this method that we have started to use here in Västerbotten can also be implemented in other regions in Sweden. We have had the opportunity to inform about this project in a national conference about adult education in Sweden. So hopefully, I think this method can be used in other parts in Sweden as well. Okay, we can go further on.
Yes, now it's my turn. In Belgium and in the Netherlands, we already had what we called a storytelling ambassador, which is also a person who promotes storytelling in the region. And Flanders and the Netherlands, of course, we are the Dutch-speaking part, or the Dutch-speaking community. And there we had this ambassador, but it used to be a storyteller. And the emphasis in the past was on storytelling and storytelling techniques. And through Story Regions, we learned that there is a lot more as a job for a storytelling ambassador. And so now we were able to describe this job a little bit further. And now, because every year we have an election in Flanders and the Netherlands within the storytelling community, we elect a storytelling ambassador every year. So it's a really nice event. I think it's in a couple of months now. And so now for us, it's more efficient, and it's more clear what this person should be able to do and should do as well. Aldenbiesen, where I work, is also is a conference center, and we run international courses like in the Erasmus Plus program. And thanks to the Story Regions project, now we have a clear curriculum for professional development, not only of storytellers who are willing to expand their work and their work field, but also for the other actors, the target groups the target sectors that we had in this project. So the social cultural sector, heritage sector, adult learning sector, what kind of curriculum that we should develop for these people, and in what way we should direct our in-service training, conferences, and courses. Now we also have a better connection with the social sector, and I can say that there is in Flanders a higher visibility of storytelling as a tool. And I think that that's very important. Flanders is not too big. I think we have about 30 professional storytellers in Flanders, plus of course a higher number of amateur storytellers. But I think it's very important to reach these people and to connect them with the sectors that we approached in Story Regions, and on the other hand, the sectors that we approached, to make them aware of the existence of professional storytellers and the potential that they have as professionals. And that's, I think, that we achieved throughout this project. And as a result, I can see also in Flanders that there are more storytellers now active in the social cultural sector. Beforehand, storytelling was more like in the performance, in the artistic, and in the leisure sectors. That is what storytelling meant for Flanders and for the Flemish audiences. But I'm convinced, and I know that now the term applied storytelling and application means of storytelling is more into Flanders as well, and in the sectors that need it or could apply for it. That's that's the impact in Belgium. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I work for Teatr Grodzki in Bielsko-Biała in Poland. We are a theatrical organization, and in many ways you could say that, of course, storytelling has been the basis of what we do. And yet this particular style has been new to us and has brought many innovations to us and allowed us to transfer many of these concepts to new partners and existing partners. Fortunately, we now, as a result of this project specifically, have a number of individual and group partners throughout Poland who are working in different regions of storytelling, all of which are associated with specific results. Our organization in particular is primarily a social inclusion organization. We work with disabled people, disadvantaged people, former drug addicts, as well as schools, general social organizations in the area, and so on. And so as a theatrical organization, we're accustomed to the idea of using stories to communicate with people who were not particularly familiar with certain aspects of the society that they live in. However, we generally tended to develop a story, rehearse it, and then present it to a large audience on a single occasion. The storytelling format that is promoted within the Story Regions project has allowed us to make this a much more personal event. We are able to repeat events continually. They can be almost ad hoc. If somebody is available, we can simply ask them to talk about themselves. And because of the workshops that we've been able to provide and the tools that people have developed through this project, this has become an exceptionally versatile form of outreach. So as a result, in Poland, we now have a number of small individual networks which are connected to each other, which have become aware of each other because of this project, and are sharing techniques and experiences with one another, as well as involving each other in their own work. So fortunately, we've managed to tap into an existing pool of talent, as well as recruiting new talent and retraining talent from other areas. So we feel that we've moved the storytelling approach forward quite a bit in just these 2 years in Poland. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to develop any kind of position along the lines of a curator, which is, of course, one of the main points of the manual. But we are still working on that, and we would like to see some kind of formal or official position created in the future. We've used storytelling for a number of projects along the lines of simple historical or heritage, perhaps, goals and targets. We had a small outdoor museum, which I think in Polish we call a skansen, which is taken from Swedish, actually. And we use storytelling instead of simply taking people on a tour. So these minor changes in some situations where people would expect to be learning information have been developed that they simply learn it in a different way. They maybe learn the story of a particular participant or a particular hypothetical participant in history and come to understand situations in a different and more personal way. We've also had a history teacher involved who actually was complaining that his students are not interested because all he does is repeat dates and surnames. And he's realized that by telling the story of what happened rather than concentrating on the particular specifics, he's getting much more actual information across, and the specifics are retained because the method actually connects with the student much more effectively. So in Poland, we also hope that we'll be able to move this forward and develop more specific partnerships for particular types of storytelling or storytelling with a particular focus, such as our storytelling workshops with mothers-to-be, who are basically sharing stories. We have mothers, women who've already given birth and women who are about to give birth, and they share stories with one another. This is a very simple, small group, and yet it is a continuing process. As one person leaves, another joins, and it's an ongoing storytelling workshop where people may be telling the same story over and over when it's particularly highly valued, and others have new stories to bring, and this pool of knowledge and pool of experience is gathering purely because of this storytelling methodology. So that's a small amount of the great impact that this project has had in Poland.
Okay, that's my turn. Hi, my name is Simone Fenoil. I'm from Scuola Olden, which is a creative writing and storytelling school held in Italy, in Turin. The particularity of our organization is that we work on narrative techniques. So it means we teach to our students how to build stories, and in this context, using methodology connected to storytelling, it's really important for us because it helps to our students to learn how to build a story and how to tell a story. For this reason, when we develop together the project of StoryRegion, one of the things that we do at the end of the process is to share our methodologies and our results with a European network of creative writing school, which we are a member. The organization is the European Association of Creative Writing Programs. We organized a workshop for teachers, a teacher's training in the month of September, with several teachers coming from different European countries and organizations. For instance, Aleph Écriture in Paris and Escuela de Escritores in Madrid, and other organizations. So the idea was to show to creative writing schools how how they can also use a methodology connected to oral storytelling in order to use these techniques also for giving some specific inputs and some ideas also for what concern creating a writing text, and imagine also about how to tell stories in different ways. And it has been really interesting, and we organize this also not only for European visiting professors, but we organize also a parallel workshop for some of our teachers and from some of our students too. This is one of the main results we achieved during this last part of the StoryRegion project. Then, for what concerns the pilot project we developed here, we developed a pilot project called Story Porta Palazzo. In this context, the idea was to help person that works in the market, in the main market of the city, to tell their stories, to give an idea about what does it mean to live and to work in this district. And in order to do this, we involved different storytellers and different students in order to help these people to tell their story to the community, to the citizen of Turin. At the end of the process, we also invited the municipality to have a look about the stories and the methodology we use to tell these stories. We organized a public event. And at the end, also video and text has been published on the main district page, just to show the final events and the final stories of this pilot. Concerning the second pilot project we developed, which the name is Voce Volti, the idea was trying to using storytelling techniques in order to help migrants to tell their stories to the other participants and to the other citizens of the city of Turin. And the idea was to help them to felt a connection with the citizen of the Turin, and to help the citizen of Turin to feel the connection with the migrants. Because if you usually tell a story to someone, you create a connection. This was the main idea. And it works very well, because at the end, one of the main outcomes has been that some of these migrants that tell their stories, they start also to help other migrants at the end of the project to tell other stories. So they become active, and they're starting to work in the organization, helping other migrants that arrive in Italy to tell their story to other person. One of the participants of the project at the end is also moved to an European meeting of social organization in Portugal, and he started to share also these methodologies with other organizations, because at the end, the aim of the StoryRegions project is also to create a multiplier effect in which different participants can share the methodologies that we create during this process, and share this with other organizations and other social actors, let's say. So at the end, we create also a meeting with the municipality of Turin to show how this methodology can be adapted to several situations, also in terms of problems connected to social inclusion on building a social community.
Okay, now we come to the impact in Germany. So the story of StoryRegions in Germany started, as I said earlier, with this research phase of activities that are already going on and people that are already active in the field of storytelling. And in 2010, the region of telling was initiated by a large organization that has the goal to support learning and political education, but also to build bridges between the generations. And for them, this aspect of communication, of telling and listening to each other, is at the core of everything. And in the region of telling, a number of storytelling cafes are organized in more than 30 locations. And this is why we decided to just jump in and contribute to activities that are already there. It turned out that the region of telling, as I said, it was founded in 2010, had kind of lost its motion and its spirit over the years. There is one network meeting a year where people come to exchange, but in some places people have, so it turns out that in all the different villages in the regions, the situation is very different, and the people who organize activities face different kind of problems. For example, how to involve new target groups, to motivate new people to come to their storytelling cafes, or in a number of villages the problem was that people have no ideas what they could talk about in the next cafe, or that organizers would feel that they're alone and that they would need some support from others. And so this is on this primary networking level, we stepped in and offered some support. And from this, we came to organize a training offer for these organizers of storytelling cafes in the region based on the methodologies that were developed in StoryRegions. For example, how you can create attractive events, what kind of stories and topics are suitable for certain target groups, also to come together to develop ideas together, but also to introduce the telling of fictional stories or fairy tales as a method to involve people, to motivate people to come to the storytelling cafes. And the idea was to strengthen this community of storytelling cafe organizers and to provide some new ideas, but to also provide a space where they can come together to exchange, to work together, and to develop new ideas. So this led to a better connection of stakeholders and some kind of competence development on individual level for people active in the field of, let's say, this very special form of storytelling in storytelling cafes, which initially focuses on biographic narratives of life stories of people and aims at creating understanding between people. Another impact or another effect of the activities of StoryRegions in Germany was that new training offers evolved that are now offered by people who were involved in the activities within the project and that got to know about storytelling methods, who were working in a similar field, for example, theater pedagogy, or intercultural language learning, that had already been in touch with it, but never had realized it as such a distinct methodology, and they got into studying and created new training offers. For example, one teacher discovered his own love for storytelling and created a course that was then offered at the Folk High School with a very positive resonance and a lot of participants. So just to give you one example, another lady that is involved in the storytelling laboratory, that was the second pilot project in Germany. She started to organize events at a little cafe in Germany, in Göttingen, I mean, where from February to April, she will tell stories about grim fairy tales in this little cafe, because the storytelling laboratory is kind of a follow-up of this Werkstatt-Erzähl-Café, where people who are interested in getting deeper into all aspects of storytelling, so not only how to motivate people to tell about their lives, but also into this technique of telling stories in an involving way, came together to explore storytelling, to practice it, in the different forms that it has. And this group consists of 8 people, 8 women, unfortunately only, who all have a big interest and also some different prior experiences with storytelling, but also a connection to education, and where we kind of build up our own competence to tell stories in a nice way, to reflect about stories, to try out storytelling methods that we can then use in other training offers. So this is something that has really developed some motion, and is very much fun for us to do. Both the Werkstatt Erzählcafé as well as the Storytelling Laboratory are ongoing initiatives. So they grow, and new events are planned for the next year after the project is finished. And so this is a contribution that Story Regions had to not only organizational learning in the association, for example, but also in the partner institution, but for a number of individuals too. Another positive effect of Story Regions was that a new project was written also for the program Erasmus+. It is called Listen, and it focuses on developing storytelling methodologies to support the inclusion of refugees. This is a project that has 7 partners in Europe. And that will run, that will run from December 2016 until December 2018. And we're very much looking forward to carry on with the activities that we have started in Story Regions.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia, and all the others. It's Anders from Sweden again. It's interesting to hear all about the big diversity, I think, of the outcomes of this project, and also what impact the project actually has had. For instance, we heard in Belgium about different sectors in society coming together in new ways, and down to what you told us, Simone, about on the individual level, that people actually are using storytelling and getting further on in their lives. So it's very, very interesting to hear. But now we will also talk a little bit about the future. How can we use the experiences from this project, and how can we take it further on? If I start a little bit about what thoughts we have in Sweden, I would like to start to talk about working with immigrants, with new inhabitants in our region. We did it in the pilot, and we will be able to do it in the future thanks to what you mentioned, Julia, the project Listen, where the municipality of Skellefteå is building up a new system with service centers where they will use storytelling, and they will educate volunteers within the project. So I think it will be very interesting to follow in that one. I also forgot to mention one impact from the project. In our storyteller, Rosemarie Lindfors, thanks to the Story Region project, she was getting a mission from IBI. It's the International Board of Books for Young People, an international organization started in Lampedusa in Italy. And Rosemarie had the opportunity to make a handbook. It's both in Swedish and in English, which can be used very, very much in the future. Mariella Bertelli, a librarian in Lampedusa, describes silent books like this: the barrier-free nature of those wordless books, outside of language, cultural, age, and intellectual ability, adds a totally democratic element to the reading experience. This fundamental concept goes hand in hand with IBI's mission, that it is through children's books that we can create more tolerance and understanding among the people of the world. So that's one future track, I think, working more with storytelling with and together with immigrants. I also mentioned that in Sweden now, in our region, Västerbotten, we have started to work with outside the cultural sphere with storytelling, and that is also something that I think is just the beginning. In the future, I will see more storytelling in healthcare, for instance, working with elderly people. I would also like to see more storytelling in school for school children. And finally, what I see in the future, perhaps not only thanks to the StoryRegions project, but it has been a contribution, is that I hope and think that in the city of Skellefteå, the next largest town here in Västerbotten, we are hoping that we will develop a storytelling center like you have in Belgium and in Aldenbiesen. So I hope, when it comes to the future, I think it's quite bright. I would like to see it that way. Okay, thank you. Over to Belgium.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, in Belgium, as you said, Anders, Aldenbiesen is a kind of support center for storytelling and a kind of expertise center on applied storytelling and storytelling as a performing art. But we also have a European leg there. But first, at Flemish level, one of the things we do, we run the Flemish website for storytelling. It's called Vertellen in Vlaanderen, Telling in Flanders, and it's a website where you can find all kind of information on storytelling. There is a map of Flanders where you can see all the storytellers and find information about the storytellers, and it has an agenda, a calendar, where the storytelling activities in Flanders are listed. And of course, we have plans, not only plans, we already do it. We use that website in order to spread information about StoryRegions, the project that we've done now, but also, of course, about other projects that we've done like Tales and Sherazade. And it's, yeah, that's a work that is going to continue. So in that respect, we are in a quite comfortable situation that we offer, in a way, the voice or the portal that we have, the portal for storytelling in Flanders, and we can use it as an information channel, and we of course are using it. And I think from our perspective, professional development is the angle that we're going to use, meaning we're talking about conferences, about courses, about study days, as we call them, but also networking. I think it's very important that we continue networking. We don't have too many storytelling cafes in Flanders, but there are some storytelling cafes. But at this stage, they're only using storytelling as a performing art. So people meeting to learn about storytelling, to listen to each other's stories, to help your colleagues and friends to tell stories. But I think those storytelling cafes could also play a role with regard to how to use storytelling. So perhaps we should enlarge the task of a storytelling cafe, not only a cafe for performing art, but also a cafe for learning about applied storytelling and helping other people to use it. And I have to say that Aldenbiesen also is the host of an international non-profit organization called FEST, and that's also very important. It's a European network of professional associations of storytellers and festival organizers and so on. So people who are professionally involved in storytelling. And what we are facing in our partner countries, meaning about professional development of storytellers, the lack of formal initial training to become a storyteller, that is the case Europe-wide. So we are really working on let's say a professional profile for storytelling, and to try to create a curriculum, an initial curriculum for storytellers. And in that curriculum, it is clear that storytelling is not only seen as a performing art, but also seen as a set of techniques. And then I'm not only talking about oral stuff and speech and performance techniques, but also about communication and about community building techniques. That is all part of the professional development of a storyteller, and that we really should pay attention in that curriculum to applied storytelling. And that's what we're doing at a European level as well. These are our plans, and I have to say that also in FEST, the European Federation for Storytelling, we have prepared an application, a network application within the Creative Europe program to become really a big network for Europe. That's it.
Okay, so our plans in Poland, well, as I mentioned, Poland at the moment has a lot of storytelling going on, but it's very grassroots. So I think one of our priorities, although it's definitely long-term, is to attempt to influence the establishment of some kind of curator. It's one of the things, again, talked about in the manual. It's a very important process. We believe in the creation of a storytelling culture, I suppose, to make storytelling available, to make it more prolific. And that's something that we would look to achieving in the long term. In the more short term, we have many, many local contacts as a result of the storytelling project, where we believe that storytelling can be applied in perhaps slightly unexpected, or perhaps what seems like completely obvious ways, where it has nonetheless yet to be applied. The history teacher I mentioned was one example, which has encouraged us to attempt to develop relationships with local teachers of many different subjects. History seems like an obvious one. You tell a story about history, it seems to have an obvious connection, but a narrative as a concept and storytelling as the process of relating that narrative is invaluable in many, many different areas of learning, especially simply taking into consideration the fact that there are different learning styles involved in different situations and things along those lines. So we're hoping to really help storytelling permeate our local region in very, perhaps even discrete ways, to have it applied in very useful situations. In addition to that, we also hope that storytelling will be able to take the stage a little bit itself, rather than simply being a tool, to actually be presented and to be its own, to have its own appeal. As again, a theatrical organization, we regularly host and organize larger scale events with larger scale audiences. And we're hoping to integrate storytelling into some of those events at some point in the not too distant future, hopefully. We also have one of the groups that we work with presents, as I mentioned, this outdoor museum. Bielsko-Biała, where my organization is located, is actually approximately 1 hour away, slightly less than 1 hour away from Auschwitz, which doesn't need any explanation. And for anybody who's been to Auschwitz, it's an appropriately stark museum. It's very empty, and it simply has photos on the walls. And for many people, that is more than enough to give quite an horrific understanding of what happened in that place. But we've also discovered, actually through other projects, we had a project regarding religious tolerance with a partner from Israel. And we've discovered that in many ways, a lot of the information is not necessarily being transferred. There are things missing. People come away with many, many questions. And we we have a suspicion. We're looking to investigate this. We feel that storytelling could have a very important place in somewhere like Auschwitz or nearby Birkenau camp. So we have a number of local areas that we would like to try to introduce storytelling to in a very specific way, as well as the more general goals of finding purposes in education overall, and the long-term goal of some sort of official curation, both at a regional and perhaps a slightly larger geographical level. So those are our plans at the moment in Poland.
Yes, about the plans in Germany, I just mentioned the Listen project that is about to begin. And as I said, it focuses on working with refugees using storytelling methods. And the idea is within this project to use storytelling methods for language learning, but also to empower the participants to tell their own life stories and to make a radio program about it. We have already built a connection to the radio station here in Göttingen. So the networking is going on, and the stakeholders that get involved increase. We also have scheduled a number of events already for next year that evolved from the Storytelling Laboratory, the initiative I was just talking about. There will be a campfires, storytelling at the campfire event in May, and another one in July. We are also planning to have a public appearance in a regular storytelling cafe that shall be based on a fairy tale. Another training offer is planned about age perception in fairy tales, which is not only a theoretical approach looking at the structure of fairy tales, but also involves telling of stories. To give an example of the power of storytelling itself, because fairy tales, they were never intended to be written stories, but they were always orally transmitted from one generation to the other. So this is something that is foreseen for the first half year in 2017 already. And more on the side, not so much directly related to storytelling, is new ideas for new projects with the stakeholders that we have gotten to know in the process of story regions. For example, the Association Freie Altenarbeit that we have cooperated with has the idea to look at storytelling, but not only, generally would like to do European projects together with us, Q21. So this is a very nice result for us. Also, the Storytelling Laboratory Group has made a little schedule of storytelling events in Germany. There's a number of interesting festivals that we want to visit to get some inspiration, some new ideas. So this is what is directly already tangible in the near future. And as all people that have gotten in touch with Story Regions and the initiatives that evolved from it, kind of got hooked to this idea and of storytelling and the idea of being able to tell stories in an engaging way. There's a lot of motivation, a lot of inspiration, and so I'm very, very confident that there will be much more evolving over time from this. The Story Regions really was an initiator for storytelling lovers in Germany. Thank you very much.
So in Italy, probably we will move in two different directions. On one side, we will adapt the methodologies for our courses. So it means that we will take the manual and we will create the way in which we will use some of these methodologies for creating other opportunities for our teachers to use these methodologies with their students. And this will be one of the direction, the internal direction, let's say, for for the future plans. Outside, we will move in order to create new and other projects using the format of the pilot project called Voce Volti, the human library. So the idea is that we will work in this direction with other organizations in order to create other projects in which people coming from different countries will have the opportunity to explain and to speak about their job, their life, and their stories to other person, and we will organize other meeting with the citizens. And this is a format that we'd like to bring with us and to develop with other organizations, not only in the city, but we will try to do this also with other European organizations, in order to create a proper format and to develop and to adapt this in different contexts. These are the two main directions in which we will use the methodologies we developed during the StoryRegion project, and these are our future plans in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Simone. It was also very, very interesting to hear about the future plans, and I really like what you were talking about, Andrew, getting storytelling and the closeness between Bielsko-Biała and Auschwitz. I recall that within the manual, StoryRegions manual that now is printed, we have one of the good examples from Sweden is about the stories of the survivors from the Holocaust, that the stories never will be forgotten. So I think it's quite an important topic to work with that one. Well, do you have any questions or anything? Because this is almost the end of this webinar. In that case, I would very much like to thank you all for this webinar. And once more time, this everything what we have done within the project is in the manual, and you can download it from either from, if you take the last slide, Julia, from this website, storyregions.eu or storyregions.se. And also it will be available on the issu.com website, free for download in English. And also it will be, as Guy mentioned before, translated into the different partner languages on the web as well. So thank you very, very much for not only this webinar, but for everything what we have done and achieved and all your efforts in this project. For me, I have learned a lot of new things, and I have also got some new friends, and I like it very much. It has been very nice working with you, and I really hope for more future cooperation and even more storytelling in society. Thank you very, very much, all of you. Bye-bye.